Start recording. Hey, folks, this is Rabble Rousing Rich Bergeron.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Tornado, Tony Pennicamp.
And Psychic Tom Paget with a polished crystal ball.
All right, well, believe it or not, I got 2 8-legged parlays to pay off this last weekend on the UFC card. And, it was mostly because of home field advantage, home cage advantage, whatever you want to call it. In Brazil, pretty much all the Brazilians cleaned up. And just at the last minute, I kind of decided, not only is Jose Aldo fighting at home, but he's fighting his way out of his contract. And he purposely asked for this guy. After that first round, after I watched the way Martinez kind of faded fast, I was like, yep, I bet you Aldo said, I can beat this guy. Throw me in there. Make me look good. And Martinez was just totally outclassed. I thought he would do better than that, but a couple leg kicks get checked and your whole game plan's fucked. So I had Jose Aldo on one. I had a lot of under-overs and money line bets all lined up. One was $130, the other one was $135 on a $5 wager. So that was good. Cleaned up good there. And it was a great event. Basically, where is it? Pantoja and Urseg, the main event, kind of turned into one of those fights where I thought Pantoja would dominate and destroy him and totally wipe him off the face of the earth. Make him look like an amateur. But Urseg actually, in the main event, came on pretty late with some elbows. And sneaky, just really hard elbows to the forehead and the temple area. And he was landing them. Pantoja looked like he was getting a little bit desperate to wrestle at that point, and he was just a little bit better in the grappling and control area for most of the fight. But Urseg definitely earned his respect, and I was not aware of the story behind Urseg, where his father actually said he couldn't fight, and he wouldn't let him fight, and then finally he said, all right, we're going out in the backyard and we're going to fight and we're going to see how you do. It's like a true story. And so father and son fighting in the backyard, and the son is getting his ass kicked, but he keeps coming. So his father finally decided at that moment that he could fight. And still trains him to this day, so that's kind of crazy. But anyway, he fell a little short, but went the distance, which is tough to do against Pantoja these days. Surprised me. So I got him on a couple money line bets. I pretty much was sure he was going to win, but I thought it would be more dominant than that. And then Anthony Smith with the upset.
What a shocker. What a shocker, huh?
Yeah. Not so much a shocker to me, actually. But, last week I said Vitor was probably going to smash him and knock him out early. And then I started really looking at the level of opposition of Petrino before I really set all my bets. And, I said, Jesus, I have to have Anthony Smith by submission somewhere. Or the under on that one. I think I had the under on one of my parlays, and then Anthony Smith by TKO or submission on the other. Because the odds are just so high, but he's just got so much experience over Petrino. And he just got caught. I did not expect it in the first round. I thought it was going to happen. It was going to be later. So, yeah, that was pretty much the upset of the night. And then Michael Pereira kind of screwed me because I bet him across the board to win by knockout. I think I only had one bet where it was TKO or submission. And that ended up getting canceled out by another part of the parlay that failed. But I was so pissed that he didn't knock him out. He got that guillotine choke. But 54 seconds.
Well, he almost knocked him out by backflip.
Yeah.
You know,
that was crazy. I've never seen that. He just flipped onto him. All right. I'm going to take top position. Here we go. Boom. Flips. So that was crazy. Kyle Barajo knockout over Paul Craig. That was easy money. You know, if that was just all I bet and I didn't put it in a parlay.
Yeah, Craig. Yeah, you know, you hear that phrase stiff.
Yeah.
In the boxing world. And what's happened to Paul Craig? I mean, his stand-up was never that bad. Yeah, you talk about stiff.
Well, he's always been a name, and he's always been like crafty, able to grab a leg and maybe get a submission. But these like up and coming guys that are just, you know, destined for stardom.
Well, he was a robot. Yeah. I mean, he was like a heavy bag with legs. I mean, God, it was just awful.
Yeah.
I mean, no head movement at all. And you know, the thing is, it's not like he's new at this.
Yeah.
You know, when you've been around that long, get a good boxing coach or just get out of the game. Maybe it's a long time for him to quit. I mean, that was awful.
Yeah, it just, you know, it was just kind of like clear in one of the embeddeds when they followed him. He was talking about how the UFC gave him all these opportunities to travel and everything like that. He wasn't so much focused on the fight as much as the experience of being in Brazil, you know. So
well, that's not a good mindset.
Yeah, so
I mean,
I think he kind of knows he's like one of those people that is just brought in there to get beat up, and you know, he was like, whatever, I'm getting paid. So
well, okay, but again, what do we say every week? The fight game is not the kind of thing to hang around in.
Yeah.
Just to say you're hanging around. I mean, if you're all in or you're not all in, I mean, this is a serious endeavor. You don't play fighting.
Right.
And
yeah, it's kind of crazy, but Craig thankfully did not last longer than 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the second round, because I had the under on that one, I think, on one of my parlays, under 1.5, so I was just hoping that would end right when it did. And then another one that started lining everything up for me, Joe Anderson Brito. That was one I got a little help with. You know, I looked at all the experts and, you know, all the different people picking, and that was one of the most common picks, and boy, he destroyed Jack Shore's leg. Tony, they actually stopped the fight because his leg was broken. It was a chip, I think, inside.
yeah, that was sickening. It's almost like the doctor stuck his finger in a big hole. I mean, that is, I was just getting queasy about that. I said, God, jeez.
Yeah.
I've never seen it that bad. I've never seen anything quite
the
that
announcers
bad.
were like, oh, his leg is split open from the kicks. And then he showed the fucking close-up, and he's got like a big nasty hole in his leg, and he can barely walk on it. And it's all swollen and starting to go black and blue already. And I'm like, oh, shit. He's going to get
He didn't argue about the stoppage, did you notice?
No, I think he's the one that said to the ref, like, I think my leg is broken. And that's when it started, where they brought the doctor in. But yeah, it was broken. I can't imagine that pain. You know, it's like right on the front bone of your shin. Looked like it was where it was. Ow. I
mean, it's bad enough in training, but you know, no one's going to ease up in a real fight like that. I mean, God, that is about the worst I'd ever seen.
Yeah. So Jack Shore had a bad night at the office. I had Joe Anderson Brito, thankfully. Yasmin Lucindo was a very easy pick over Carolina Kowalkiewicz. I had her by decision. Money line, I think, and then I had to go the distance on the parlay. Oral by Mike DeBeck, Mike Tittyback, as we called him last week. Oral by got the win over Elvis Brenner. That was a pretty good fight. Went the distance. That was predictable. A lot of the experts had that money decision.
Yeah, that was kind of back and forth, and I like the hat of the Stan guy.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a hat like that. You see his hat? He put his hat on.
I was watching his corner between rounds, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Or during the fight, one of his corner guys was wearing it in the audience, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that?"
I don't know what it fight. It looks like a 3-level cake or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you encounter one of them, Rich, get it for me or let me know where to get it.
Yeah. Something Napoleon would wear. Crazy. Anyway, so he got a pretty impressive win. Drakkar close, as they said, got a close unanimous decision win over Joaquim Silva. That was kind of an ugly fight. Joe Biden called it bullshit, but his favorite fighter went down by TKO. Jamie Malaki. Mauricio Huffy. First round knockout. That was so predictable. I don't think I might have had one single bet out of like 20 that had Malaki pulling off the upset. But yeah, Huffy getting the knockout was pretty much expected. Oh boy, he looked good. He was very patient too, getting it. Took his time. 4 minutes and 42 seconds, he finally connected enough and just laid him out. And then the third fight of the night, Dione Barboza. That was everybody's heavy favorite, but Karate actually made a little bit of a fight out of it. But Barboza just squeaked out the unanimous decision win. It's a good one. And then Ismail Bonfim and Vince Pichel. Every time I looked at Vince Pichel in this fight, guess who I thought of? Bill the Butcher from Gangs of New York. That's exactly what he looked like. I was waiting for him to pull out the meat cleaver because that's what he needed to win. But Ismail actually made it a little bit closer than it could have been. But, man, Vince kind of looked a little bit older than he is in there against that guy. He just was a little bit faster, a little bit more accurate. He had a little bit more patience. Vince just kind of was winging a lot of punches and not setting things up, but he was still trying to slug no matter what. And boy, impressive kind of chin he had in that one that he didn't go down. He went the distance. And then Alessandro Costa, the guy has deep connections to Brazil, and he was actually kind of like a hometown favorite, and did not take long to destroy Kevin Borjas in the first fight. Second round, 1 minute and 35 seconds. Took him out. And we've got Derek Lewis fighting this weekend. Mother's Day weekend here. Derek Lewis on UFC on ESPN 56. Derek Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Nascimento 11-1. Lewis 27-12 as a heavyweight. So that one should be good. I haven't really seen Nascimento that much. This one's actually going to be in St. Louis, Missouri. And not to change the subject, but did you guys see Dana White was a fixture at the Tom Brady roast over the weekend?
For 1 minute. 1 minute, and he was mad.
Oh, yeah. He had the center table, and somebody called his fighters pets at one point. That was crazy. But the funniest line of any comedian that night, ripping on Dana, was, let me see if I can remember it. Dana, you've put more immigrants in cages than U.S. border policy.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I was like, wow. Ripped him. But they gave Dana actually a little chance to roast people. So that was funny. But yeah, I don't know what his connection to Tom Brady is, other than Tom Brady is definitely an investor in the UFC. I know that for a fact. So they must have talked. I don't know. They must be buddies. Dana has a big connection to football too. Remember, we had a guest on not too long ago, a little while ago. Kenny Hewer, that does the UFC cage duties, and he actually he is coaching a league where Dana has his son on one of the opposing teams. So yeah, he loves football. And Fertitas too had a big connection to football. Anyway. So yeah, Dana White was there, and man, they really freaking lit into that guy. It was rough. My girlfriend was reading something about the kids. I guess had a bad reaction. His kids saw it, so apparently they were all bent out of shape about it. Well, the thing they got him on most too. It's fight related, so we get to talk about it. The jiu-jitsu coach. The one comedian was like, "Oh, why you got 8 classes today? 8 classes in one day with this guy?" The wife Giselle was rumored to be screwing around with the jiu-jitsu coach. Oh, that was funny. Anyway, so UFC on ESPN 56. Let's get back to that. Joaquin Buckley in the co-main event, fighting Nursultan Ruziboev. Buckley 18-6 at welterweight. Ruziboev 34-8-2. We got Alonzo Menifield at light heavyweight, fighting Carlos Ulberg, who's 9-1. I haven't done any analysis on these yet, so can't really make my picks. But boy, a couple of heavy hitters in those last two, Menifield and Buckley. They can both knock you out pretty easy. I don't really know a lot about Ruziboev, but he's got a lot of wins. 34 wins. Ulberg can knock you out too. I got lightweights Matus Rebecki, 19-1. Fighting Diego Ferreira, 18-5 in the 10th fight of the night. Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres, 21-14 at featherweight, fighting Sean Woodson, who's 11-1-1. Should be a tough test for Caceres. Woodson's a really tall, lanky type of fighter. Caceres kind of has a heavy karate attack sometimes, but he's just unorthodox. He's always changing his game. And where's Waldo? Right here. Waldo Cortez Acosta. 11-1 at heavyweight, fighting Robelis de Spain. He's 5-0. And it is a tough competitor. Yes, a destroyer. So good luck, Waldo. Good luck. Then we have Chase Hooper, 13-3-1 at lightweight, fighting Vyacheslav Borshev. 7-3-1. Terrence McKinney at lightweight. He is 15-6, fighting Esteban Ribovics, 12-1. Tabitha Ritchie is 9-2 at strawweight, fighting Tisha Pennington, who is 13-6. So she officially took the name of her wife. Never seen that. Tisha the Tiny Tornado Torres is now Tisha Pennington. Well, that's new. I had not heard that. But she's 13-6. Billy Goff, 9-2. Fighting Trey Waters, 8-1 at welterweight in the fourth fight. Charles Johnson at flyweight, 14-6. Fighting Jake Hadley, who's 10-2. And then Jared Gooden, probably not related to the old Dwight Gooden, 23-9 at welterweight. Fighting Kevin Jousset, who's 10-2. And coming off a bad one. I bet on him to win. He did not win. J.J. Aldrich at flyweight leads off tonight, 13-6, fighting Veronica Hardy, who is 8-4 with one draw at flyweight. That's the first. And then we got a professional fighters league event tomorrow night. Main event, I guess, is a 147-pound catchweight contest. Abdullah Al-Khatani. He is 8-1. And Yazid Hasnain, 3-0. This is all Arabian fighters. It seems like, geez. Obviously it's in Saudi Arabia. Okay. Co-main event, Ali Taleb, 9-1 at bantamweight. Nawraz Abzak is his opponent, 12-5. And we go to another bantamweight, Xavier Alawai, who is 14-5, and Rashid El Hazoum, 10-3. And then you gotta have a guy named Islam in Saudi Arabia. Islam Rida, who is 9-1 at featherweight, fighting Adam Meskini, who is 8-2. And then Tariq Ismail, 7-1 at 137-pound catchweight fight, fighting Jalal Al-Daha, who is 11-7. And then we have Elias Budegsdame, 18-8 at bantamweight, fighting Hassan Mandor, who's 8-5. And Hatan Al-Saif making his debut, or her debut, I should say, against Nada Fahim at atomweight. An atomweight MMA fight. I don't think I've ever heard of that one. Must be like mosquito weight.
Right, now, what is the limit on that? What would that be, like 85 pounds?
I don't know, I gotta see their profiles. I got a Sherdog page. 105 pounds.
Adam?
105 pounds.
105. I never heard of that.
Atom weight. She's from Saudi Arabia. Hatan Al-Saif.
Okay, so what is that? Okay, so straw weight for the women's 115. So atom weight's 105. How much lower can it get? It's down to, down to 85 pounds, 75?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're feeding them over there. Not much. That's crazy. Fahim. So then before that we got three other fights. Malaroon Belagout, 5-0 against Ahmad Roof, 6-1 at featherweight. Ahmed Tarek, 4-0 at featherweight, fighting Abdul Rahman Ali Assad, who is 3-0. And then Malik Masahel debuting against Harsh Pandya. Harsh Pandya. He said, oh no. Debuting himself. Watch out for the Harsh Panda. Harsh Pandya. How do you get a name like Harsh? That is fucking... His parents, it's harsh for his parents to do that to their kid. Saturday, May 4th, we had some fights, and I bet some couple $5 I threw away on Saul Alvarez's opponents, just for shits and giggles. Jamie Munguia, I did not see any of the fight, but apparently was enough to get Saul a unanimous decision.
Tony, were you able to catch it?
I was. We ordered it Saturday night, and
I watched the whole thing, and
I'm sure our analysis is going to be pretty much the same. Experience.
Well, I had Jaime getting off to a great start, and
he did.
Yeah, I had him up 3-0, but in that fourth round, that combination that Canelo landed to get the knockdown, that pretty much ended the fight right there. And Jaime didn't quit, but you could just feel, you could just feel the difference.
I thought the final scores were a little closer than I had them. Where you were saying that you had them up 3-0 after 3 rounds. I mean,
it could have been 2-1. It could have been 2-1.
The first round was definite Munguia, just because there was a feeling out round, but Munguia's hands were definitely busier.
Yeah.
The next 2 rounds were close. I forget if I had it 2-1 Munguia or 2-1 Canelo. I honestly don't remember, but they were close. See, a lot of times what happens, and the fight that I will default to on this was the Mayweather-Jaime Munguia fight, which was that like around like 2014-ish or somewhere around there, or 16?
You mean Mayweather-Pacquiao?
No, not Mayweather-Pacquiao. Maidana.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Mayweather-Maidana fight. I remember I wasn't there that night. I had another event, and a friend of mine who's a big Mayweather fan was texting me. I can't believe it. Mayweather's losing. Mayweather's getting his ass kicked. I can't believe it. He's losing every round. And then Mayweather got the decision. Okay. So I'm thinking that I'm going to go back and watch a replay of what looked like Mayweather the first fight against Jose Castillo, which I thought Castillo clearly won 8 rounds easily.
Yes.
And then didn't get the decision. I go back and I watch this Mayweather-Maidana fight, and as I'm watching it, Maidana put a lot of pressure on him. Yes. Maidana really made the fight tough. Yes. I thought Mayweather still won the majority of the rounds on clean punching. But if you're a person that puts a guy up on such a pedestal like a Mayweather or a Canelo, when a fight is relatively close, there will be times you're expecting such dominance. If it's not dominant, you tend to score for the other guy because he's doing better than you expected. Maybe not enough to win, but better than you expected. So I even think, like, you're right. After that knockdown in the 4th round, Munguia might have won another round if Canelo took it off.
Yeah, I think the ninth round, Canelo just was cruising. And I may have given that to Jaime as a sympathy round, but aside from that, the fight was over. Canelo just took charge, walked him down.
But the one judge had it, I think, 115 to 112, which was 7 rounds.
That's
of
nuts. Yeah, that I wouldn't.
I couldn't do that. I think I might have had it maybe 9-3 or 10-2. I don't exactly remember, but it was definitely, Canelo controlled the action. Canelo was the class fighter. But like I said, you have a situation where you're expecting the fighter A, the name fighter, the dominant fighter, the marquee fighter, to be spectacular, and he's efficient, and the other fighter is, even though losing, is respectable. I think that sometimes clouds the judgment. Because like I said, when I went back and I watched that Mayweather Maidana fight, the first one, and I'm watching it knowing what had already happened, so I took that emotion out of it. But I'm looking at it objectively, and I'm like, no. I mean, Mayweather's not looking great, and Maidana's putting, a spirited effort. But I think Mayweather's won the majority of the rounds if it was 7-5 or 8-4. Definitely not. He's getting his ass kicked and he's getting shut out. So, I see that happening sometimes because it was. You know what? The undercard wasn't great. I was expecting more out of the Figueroa fight. I was expecting more out of a couple of the other undercard fights, and they really didn't deliver. But I enjoyed the shit out of that main event. It wasn't Gotti Ward. It wasn't anything along those lines, but it was a good, entertaining, high caliber boxing match. It wasn't a knockdown, drag out brawl, but it was a good, entertaining fight, especially for someone that knows the fight game.
And and the problem with Jaime, he didn't have a back gear. I mean, he's not a stick and move guy, and it had to be a nightmare when you knocked out so many people you fought before, and he was landing good shots on Canelo, but Canelo had that concrete in his chin. And what do you do? I mean, Canelo was just walking through him, and at least in MMA you can start, kicks and takedowns and knees and elbows. In boxing, it's a nightmare. I mean, he only had one speed, and when that didn't work, I give him a lot of credit for hanging in there. That was toughness. But like I said, to me, I could just tell after the fourth round, this thing's over.
You know what? In a way, it reminded me of. It reminded me, now please, and for anybody that, hears me say this, I am not putting them, because I think the first fighter I'm going to mention, I think is still leagues better than the second fighter I'm going to mention. I respect the shit out of both of them. Marvin Hagler. So I'm going to take a guy like Marvin Hagler, and then you take Canelo. Now, Canelo's a very good, if not great fighter, but I think Hagler was, in his name, marvelous. And I think in the primes, Hagler would have beaten him, Canelo. So, but take a lot of the guys that Hagler fought in his prime, when he was middleweight champ of the world. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. John the Beast Mugabe. Very good fighter, tough, destructive puncher, right? But now he's going up against one of history's greatest chins and one of the prime conditioned athletes out there. Hagler was in tremendous shape. So no matter what Mugabe did, as hard as he fought, he did not have a back gear. He could not take a back step. He could not change his game plan. And what he was doing was going right into the fire. And it was one that basically melted him. That's kind of what I see here on a lesser scale. That's a good analogy, because Mugabe didn't come. Remember, that was a Monday night fight. That was weird. They had to have fights during the week back in those days. And, he did everything he could, but he just didn't have a big toolbox. And Hagler did. Yeah, Hagler did. Hagler, tremendous condition, had that unbelievably, cement chin to stand up to those bombs that Mugabe would throw. And it's like, and then you're thinking, like, what is Mugabe thinking? Like, he's used to hitting guys and then crumbling. And this guy is like, you're going to kiss me on the cheek again? Mm-hmm. That was the first thing I thought of when you mentioned, Munguia, how, like, no matter what he did, he was just a level below. Right. Yeah. Good fighter. Hey, give him all the credit in the world, I mean, you don't get to 43-0, and it's not like he was 43-0 by fighting all, pushovers. He has some good guys on his resume.
Guys from the bus stop.
Yeah, and it's not like his career's over. I mean, he still has youth on his side, and Canelo's probably going to have a few more fights, but it's nothing to be ashamed of. But it was just a different level.
Yeah.
All right. And we had a couple unanimous decisions on the card. Imus Stanionis stayed undefeated, 15-0 now. Got the WBA World Welterweight title. Gabriel Maestre loses by unanimous decision, 6-0-1 coming in, so he takes his first loss. Figueroa, as you said, disappointed you, but he got a 9th round knockout, Tony. 24-1-1.
Yeah, I just didn't think it was a good fight. I just expected more. Yeah. I expected that if Figueroa fight to really be a bar. Even the announcer said like they were expecting a barn burner out of it, and it just wasn't.
All right. Magdaleno falls to 29-3. Figueroa improves to 25-1-1. Mario Barrios before that improves to 29-2 with a unanimous decision win over Fabian Andres Maidana. Talk about Maidanas. Different Maidana, but 22-2 at welterweight for the WBC interim world welterweight title there. We went to Barrios, and then came our Jesus fight of the week. Jesus won. 21-1 now. Jesus Alejandro Ramos Jr. Won in the 9th out of 10. Also by TKO over Johan Gonzalez. Falls to 34-3 at super welterweight. That was it for that card. The big ones. We also had a fight on Thursday night. Eric Bazinian brought his undefeated record to Montreal Casino and gambled it against Shaquille Finn. 26-3-1 at super middleweight, and it came to a draw, split decision draw for the North American Boxing Federation super middleweight title. So Bazinian stays undefeated, but does not get the title or the win. So there you go. Schedule coming up. We have some fights. Tomorrow on ESPN, we have a female fight. Niagara Falls. Makia Krebs 7-0 against Melissa Odessa Parker 6-2. Super bantamweights. And on Saturday we got a DAZN fight headlined by the WBA World Super Bantamweight Championship. Erica Cruz Hernandez 17-2 fighting Nazarena Romero 13-0-1. 10 rounds, 2-minute rounds. We also have Mazzeo Cabrera Urias 15-2 at super lightweight fighting Randy Leon Loaiza 14-0-1. And Eduardo Hernandez 34-2 fighting Daniel Lugo 27-2 with one draw at super featherweight. The DAZN card, that is from somewhere I cannot pronounce. Oh, a fight on Saturday in Paradise City. Did not know there was a real Paradise City. Incheon. Must be Japan. Number 4 in the world, Hiroto Kyoguchi, 18-1 at flyweight, fighting Vince Paras, 20-2 with one draw. And then the IBO World Bantamweight title, which is vacant on the line overseas, over across the pond. Paul Butler, 36-3, fighting Norberto Jimenez, 33-10-6. And this guy also fighting at York Hall across the pond. A different card. Sounds like he's in the wrong business. Sounds like he should be an actor with his name. Denzel Bentley. That's his name. Bentley. He is 18-3-1. Fighting a guy with a name that also suggests he should be in a different career. Danny Dignam. Danny Dignam. He is 16-1-1. Should own an excavating company. Danny Dignam. 16-1-1. Fighting for the WBO International Middleweight title. And that's your call. And we got a guy with a proper Italian name, Tony. Francesco Grandelli. He's 18-2. 18-2.
I like him already.
With 2 draws. Fighting Nathaniel Collins. He's got a big upset to pull off here. He's fighting Collins, who's 14-0 featherweight for the EBU silver featherweight title. Gotta love those silver titles. And we got number 69 in the world, Ryan Garner, 14-0 at super featherweight, fighting Liam Dillon, 13-1-1. He's number 164 for the WBC International Super Featherweight title. All on that card. A lot of action on the over the pond. Must be Boxing Day in the UK here, Saturday. Sion Yaxley, that is a weird ass name. 13-0, fighting from the Beach Ballroom in Aberdeen. His opponent Dean Sutherland, 16-1 for British Celtic super welterweight title. And then an American, Jessica McCaskill, 12-3-1, fighting Lauren Price across the pond. This is a 10-rounder. Price 6-0 for IBO and WBA World Welterweight titles. Also, Reese Edwards, 15-0, fighting Thomas Patrick Ward, 34-1-1 at featherweight for the WBA Intercontinental Featherweight title. Vacant. I used to really love how the WWE announcers would say Intercontinental. All right. From the Tropicana Hotel and Casino, finally, back to America. In Atlantic City, we have Avius Griffin, 13-0, fighting Lester Espino, 8-5 at welterweight. And then our Jesus Fight of the Week. Once again, this one's from Venezuela. Jean Carlos Vargas, 14-0, fighting Jesus Laya, Laya. Jesus is a Leia. He's a 5-2-1. Jesus Laya. That's Saturday. And actually, it's a pretty decent card on Sunday. In Perth, Australia. Number 5 in the world at super flyweight, Andrew Maloney, 26-3, fighting Pedro Guevara, 41-4-1 for the WBC Interim World Super Flyweight title. So that's a good one. And then Vasily Lomachenko fighting George Kambosos Jr.
That's an interesting fight.
Great fight.
I mean, Kambosos is a good fighter. I mean, I still would shade towards Lomachenko there, you know. But anything can happen, I guess.
Right. So who should I put my money on, Tony?
I think you got to go Lomachenko. Late stoppage or decision. I might even shade towards the stoppage.
Oh, big money. Big money bucks.
I would agree.
And then Imam Kataev, 6-0, fighting Ricards Bolotniks, 20 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw at light heavyweight. Interesting one. And a female fight, Chernika Johnson, 15-2, fighting Nina Hughes, 6-0, 10-rounder, 2-minute rounds for the WBA World Bantamweight female title. That's a good one. That's about it. Till next week on those. Let's see, what else do we have for big news in the MMA world lately? Boxing. The Beterbiev fight is postponed. Did we talk about that last week?
I heard the card is still going to go on June 1st, but the main event's got to be postponed.
Well, also, I heard Beterbiev's opponent, Bivol, might actually fight somebody.
Yeah, they've got him lined up against someone that it's kind of, it seems to me like a keep busy fight. I mean, I haven't really delved into the research, but I guess the guy's a 9-year pro. I can't think of his name, Zinad or something like that. I'd never heard of him. You know much about him, Tony? Beeble's opponent?
Unfortunately, I don't. I have to really look into it. I saw they were going to keep the card. I saw there was talk about Beeble still having an opponent, but that was really about it.
Yeah, probably nobody that's going to interfere with his undefeated streak.
Yeah, so I read they're going to have to shuffle the card around maybe, and move Wilder up to the main event. But the luster's gone out of the card. I mean, it's just, and the thing is, it could have saved it if Bivol would have had, if maybe Benavidez or David Morrell could have taken the fight, but that's not going to happen.
Right.
So, such a letdown.
Yep.
Malik Zinad. Yeah, unfortunately, let me see if I can find anything on BoxRec about him. I sure don't know him by name. Okay, Malik Zinad. Okay, he's 22-0, 16 knockouts. See if I recognize any of his names on there.
You won't.
So he's from Libya, and let's see. Let me see if let me sign in. So signed in. Okay, so the last two guys he beat were undefeated. So Jerome Pampalone, who was 18-0, beat him by majority decision. That was last Wednesday, or 2 weeks ago. Michael Diallo was undefeated, 20-0-2, beat him by unanimous 10-round decision. Since that, prior to that, he was fighting, looks like, mostly journeyman fighters. So you had a guy on here that was 27-8, 22-10, 13-2. But you're seeing a lot of big, long names like Ezekiel Osvaldo Madarena, Timur Nikolaev. Oh my God, here's a name, John Cortez, almost an easy name to pronounce. He had one guy in 2018. Now you want to talk about taking a risk early in your career. He fought a guy, he was only in his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. His 11th pro fight, he took on a guy that had 105 fights in his 11th pro fight. Now, granted, he lost 92 of those 105 fights and was 10-92-3, and he stopped him in 2 rounds. But yeah, I don't see much on him, and like even these fights, I'm trying to see if it says like where they were. Okay, this one looks like it was in Germany, Sydney, Australia. Brussels. So he's been, another one in Brussels. So he's been fighting a lot, looks like, over in Germany. So he's a guy, I don't think we're going to have much of a scouting report on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's probably not going to be anybody that's going to challenge him too much. They've done their scouting well, I'm sure. Anyway, Diaz, Masvidal, moving to July 6th. It's Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal are fighting now. Boxing match. Let me see. Oh, to avoid a conflict with UFC 302 on June 1st, the pay-per-view light heavyweight boxing match between former UFC brawlers Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal will be shifted to July 6th at the Honda Center in Anaheim. Well, should be interesting. That's really it. Oh. No third positive test. What is this? Dan Raphael. Getting the scoop again. I don't know when this was published. 5:07. Ryan Garcia's lab results are back for his previous positive test. It did not confirm the presence of the substance. Only has the positive test for the Austrian instead of the other one. So anyway, he has requested that his B sample be tested. I don't know if that's been done yet. That said, Ryan still has 2 confirmed positive tests for the banned PED Austrian and may have to deal with the consequences of that if the B sample test shows the presence of this drug. So if there's no presence of it in the B sample, then we have possibly no controversy. We'll see. Lab contamination. No. And I actually read somewhere that they accused ashwagandha root, the makers of that, of being the culprit. And they said, nope, we don't have that shit in our drug or supplement. So, that's the latest on that one. And that's about all I have. So you guys got any extra tidbits? If you have a verse that you can cite from your Book of Hogan?
Well, like I said, I'm only going to give you the one tidbit, the Hogan chapter 24.7 Pythons, which is thou shalt not wear sleeves.
All right. So,
I mean, you know, like, you've arrived in this world when you can basically go to, like, a hearing and still wear a bandana and the judge be afraid to tell you to take it off. He'd be like, approach the bench, sir. Okay? That attire is not acceptable in my courtroom. Let me tell you something, brother. Me and the Hulkamaniacs, we wear the bandana. It is the power that guides us. And what you're going to do when the Hulkamaniacs run wild on you? They got like, yeah, you can wear the bandana.
Yeah. They didn't help me the other day, but thankfully the Phillies are doing good for you, because the Red Sox ain't doing shit for me.
Philly's doing a good run. I went to the game yesterday. I took a day off work, and this is, Tom, you'll like this. So I take the day off work. Now, everybody knew I was taking off, right? So one of my coworkers is like, oh, you're going to the game? Yeah, it's an afternoon game. You're going to stop in the office so we can see you? No. No, I'm not. I don't want to be here on my work days, much less my not work days. They knew I had taken the PTO day, and they knew I was going to the game, but I always like to have fun and, just poke light at things, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to the game today. I'm like, in my mind, Tony, you're skipping work today. Be subtle. Don't attract attention to yourself. Barely get off the train. I'm walking to like the one bar across the street from the ballpark where my dad and I were going to have a bite and a quick drink. And sure, I'd love to be interviewed for the news broadcast. Mm-hmm. So after the game was over, Phillies were off yesterday. They looked flat,
Yeah.
Pitcher didn't have his best stuff. Even the outs were hit hard. And then they weren't getting timely hitting. They weren't getting runners over. Just a flat game. They still had a chance at a comeback. Didn't happen. It is what it is. You win some, you lose some. As I'm walking towards the subway, who do I see getting off the subway? He wasn't obviously at the game, but he was down there. Was one of my company vice presidents. He looked at me and I looked at him. I said, "Listen, you don't see me today." He said, "Good, you don't see me either." Deal. So we both laughed about it, Because right now it's like, if you don't laugh, what are you going to do? You're just going to be even more miserable.
Yeah.
Like, I came in on Tuesday, I was in one of my ordinary moods, and they're like, oh, boy, you're wound up today. Like, yeah, because I don't want to be here. But I'm making the best of it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if that other position gets offered to me, I don't know if I'm going to take it or not, because in the meeting I had last week, there's two avenues. There's an avenue that's going to give us increased flexibility. Now, they've already buckled and given us dress down, which doesn't affect me because I was wearing jeans anyway because I didn't give a shit, and sneakers. Or there's going to be increased, mandate return, where it's we got you for 3, now we want it 4, now we want it 5. So you just got to see what avenue they're going to go with. Right now I'm riding out the storm and making the travel change, going to the different train station has helped. It has. But at the same time, I tell them, when it's my time to go, don't assign me anything else, or don't ask me to look at anything else. When it's my time, I leave. And I don't care how much of something is urgent. If I was home, I'd do it, but I'm not home. I got a train to catch, and that's the final answer. So hopefully what will happen is a client will complain that something's not done in a timely fashion, and that way you have evidence to back up. This would have been done if I was home, but because of your not mine, handcuffing us, I have a life to live. I can't miss this train and wait another hour.
Right.
So the client's just going to have to suffer, and if they don't like it, well, that's your fault, not mine. Accountability.
Right.
If production drops, why is production dropping? You were so good for so many years. Well, because I had a work-life balance. I was happy. I was motivated. I wasn't married to a train schedule. I was willing to put in extra time.
Right.
You took my work-life balance away. You crushed morale. You're working us like dogs. We're not happy. The raise you gave me didn't even cover my travel expenses coming back to the city. So that's why I put productions down. It's your fault, not mine.
Tony for union president.
Yeah, okay, sign me up.
We got some sad news about our former guest. I interviewed her years ago. I don't know if we actually had her on as a guest. I think we did. Heather Hardy. Remember? I think we had her on as a guest. I think she was.
I remember you talking about. I think that might have been before me.
Well,
no, Tony, you were here for that. Because she was the New York City gal, and she was a former kickboxer who went into boxing and MMA.
Yeah. So she was
what about her?
Now trying to do the crossover to not kickboxing, bare knuckle. And she got blurred vision and then pretty much blindness for 2 days after sparring. Went to the doctor, and the doctor told her she's had too many concussions. So now she's been told she shouldn't even run, jog, jump rope, and certainly not get hit in the head again. She hasn't officially announced her retirement, but said she's not going to fight at what was supposed to be her bare knuckle debut on Saturday, and she was due to fight the champion of that league at flyweight, Christine Ferreira, at Mohegan Sun. So yeah, maybe she dodged a bullet there. Her little quote is, "I had to choose between my brain and my fight, so I'm blessed to be alive, but gutted. I hadn't told anyone how bad it was, not my boyfriend, not my coaches. I thought I could make it through the 10-minute fight, but after a very light sparring session, I couldn't see for 2 days. I didn't eat or sleep Friday to Monday, and I knew I was too weak to do this. After finally seeing a doctor, he said I've had too many concussions."
So that's the diagnosis? I mean, she could look into maybe she's having other optic nerve things. I mean...
yeah, I don't know.
True.
So no, always better safe than sorry with the brain.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there were other symptoms. She's probably slurring her speech and all that. So I guess on that sad note, we're going to end the show tonight, but I'm sure we're going to have some good fights to talk about. Some good action.
Yeah, we got the big one coming up on the 18th.
Yeah.
If it happens.
And hopefully no freak accidents.
Yeah, right. No.
I know.
Headbutts and elbows, none of that shit. We shall see.
Well, I think Fury would have to go through no matter what happens.
Yeah.
He gets hurt again. Oh God, I can't imagine it.
Oh man, he's definitely ducking him if he gets hurt again. He has to back out. Craziness, but you know, from the clips I've seen, I guess he's already losing a ton of weight. Getting ready.
Yeah, I just saw a picture of him. He looks pretty good. It looks, you know, pretty fit.
He's at least using the time to his advantage. We'll see. Jeez, I gotta get going because I'm up to almost maximum for heavyweight. 257. I weighed myself like a week ago. Too much weight.
257.
257, heavier than I was when I was in Vegas. Not doing enough exercise, but I started walking just about every day, and I'm back to work. Spring season for the wood business, so.
Well, you know that'll take it off you real fast.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, you guys, right. Before we end the show, I'll give you guys a laugh at my expense. So, on my days when I'm in the city and I gotta train at night, I try to time everything, including my bathroom times. So, when the one thing that gets me good is when I eat carrots. Carrots get me to the bathroom. And it's like my prunes. I dip them in apple cider vinegar, eat my carrots, and so if I eat them around noon, around 3 or 3:30, I generally go to the bathroom, jump on the 4:15 train. I'm at the gym by 5:15. So tonight it's like 3:30, and I'm like, I don't feel like I have to go, but I really should go. Go to the bathroom. I got nothing. It was a false alarm. You know, firing blanks. So, okay, no problem. I get to the gym, start stretching, warming up, put my gear on. I said, okay, tonight I want to do at least a couple miles on the treadmill running. So I said, I'll do 24 minutes, 8 rounds. You know, I get about 11-minute mile. And then maybe I'll finish my day off doing something else. I get about 3 minutes into it, and I'm like, I'm definitely not making 24 minutes. I got to about 9 minutes. I said, I'm going to cut it off at 12 minutes, 4 even rounds. And I said, this is going to be the longest round in history. So I'm doing my running. I hit that thing at 12. I get off, and I get downstairs. I see a guy I know. Hey, how you doing? You go to WrestleMania? Yeah, I went to WrestleMania. I go in there. All 3 stalls are taken, and I'm like, oh, shit. Now I'm standing there, and I'm holding on, and I'm like, oh, man, these motherfuckers got to move. so I finally I didn't even wait for the handicap stall. You know, I got it there. You know, it sounded like the bombing of Baghdad.
Oh, jeez.
So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do those last 12 minutes on the treadmill. I said, you know, I'll do 18 now. I'll make it an even 30 today. I'll do 12 and then I'll do 18. I said, man, shit. I felt like I was about 30 pounds later. I got on that thing. I was rocking.
All right, my friend. Well, keep on keeping on. I definitely
all right.
Gotta get on the treadmill myself. Yes, sir.
See you guys.
Thank you. Adios. Till next week.